I'm working on, and I think this is the critically important thing for how we're going to get to this future where people use the media. No, they don't just absorb it or, in a few cases, create it. It's a combination, using it in all sorts of ways by making the consumers active users. Really make them active. Make them work a little because they have to. It's good for us to work a little. It's not a bad thing. And persuade the journalists of all kinds to be better at what they do. Some need more help than others, but it's still, I think, important for everyone. And what are the principles? Well, for the consumer, this active consumer, one is to be skeptical of everything. Absolutely everything that you see. But you don't be equally skeptical of everything. We have to use judgment in this. And one of my methods of judgment is to say, okay, if I have in my mind a kind of scale of credibility where it starts over at like a plus or a minus 30 and then goes over to a plus 30, arbitrary numbers. And I think maybe that a story in the Wall Street Journal, in their news pages, will start off at about a 25 with credibility just because they get it right most of the time. We have to ask questions. We have to research. We have to look further on things that we care about. And people are constantly asking about Wikipedia. I tell students that it's absolutely a wonderful place to start. But it is almost always the worst possible place to stop. And I ran that idea. I asked this to Jimmy Wales, the co-founder of Wikipedia. I said, is this the right way to put it? He said, yes, that's right, exactly. We need to think beyond our own biases, beyond our own boundaries. I have to go look at things I know that I'm going to disagree with, and I have to look at blogging and other media from countries I don't normally follow in order to get out of my very narrow American place. We all need to do that. We all need to get out of the zone of comfort that we have for ourselves. Finally, we need to learn techniques of media, not just how to create a video with a mobile phone, but how the media are used to persuade us and often to manipulate us. We need to understand that. So those are the consumer principles. For journalists, and we need to remember that all those first set of principles, I think, apply to journalism. We all need those as we do journalism. I spent 25 years doing professional journalism, and I thought all of those were important. But then we need the ones that are pretty standard, and those include thoroughness. Do a lot of reporting. But online, we can do things we never could do before. When we're online using this new media, we can say to the audience, please help us. You know things we don't know. My readers always knew more than I did collectively. They had to. Accuracy, we know this is important. And a few magazines around the world have people called fact checkers who call people up and say, is this true? Or look in documents and actually check all the facts. Fairness, we all know, is another traditional journalism principle and an important one. Fairness means a lot of new things in this online world, not just the things we've said before, but one of them is that we can use the medium better. This is a different way to use media to include the people we talk about and the institutions we talk about in a way that they didn't get to do before. Independence is critically important. These are the four, I think, standard principles of journalism, of traditional journalism. Independence means many things, but one of the things it means is independence of advertisers, which is not always the case. And bloggers tend to be more independent because they often have less to lose. Transparency. There's no business, there is no trade as opaque as journalism in its traditional methods, where we put out something every day, a broadcast or a print, or every week or month, and we'll tell you nothing about how we did it. And we won't talk to you if you call us unless it's your lawyer calling us. That's not transparent, that's the opposite. I think it's long overdue for journalists to explain how they do what they do whenever possible, to point to deeper places that show that they know what they're talking about. Increasingly, this is going on. I'm not asking for utter transparency. That's not possible, and it's not a good idea. But bloggers are actually more transparent than most professional journalists.